What is Real? Otaku, Simulacra, and the Postmodern in Perfect Blue. A visual essay. Introduction. At first glance, Perfect Blue is a story of a pop idol turned actress navigating fame, obsession, and psychological collapse. But beneath its surface lies something more. Fractured, layered, and deeply theoretical. Released in 1997, this Japanese adult animated psychological thriller, directed by Satoshi Kon and based on the novel Perfect Blue: Complete Metamorphosis, interrogates how media distorts perception and fractures identity. So let's ask the question this film refuses to answer. What is real in a media-saturated world? This visual essay traces how Perfect Blue stages the collapse of truth and performance through the lens of otaku culture, media simulacra, and the postmodern condition. 1. Otaku. Saitō Tamaki. Japanese psychologist and critic Saitō Tamaki defines the otaku through a Lacantian lens, individuals who form emotional and erotic attachments to second-dimensional characters, particularly attractive animated girls or beautiful fighting girls. Plainly stated, otaku are whomever is able to pleasure oneself to second-dimensional characters. But this isn't just about eroticism. Saitō argues otaku prefer fiction over reality and often view reality itself as just another fiction. Perfect Blue shows us the other side of that equation. Mima, the idol, becomes a fantasy object for fans, not loved as a person, but consumed as an image. She's the perfect Saitō-style beautiful fighting girl, visually appealing, emotionally vacant, and entirely constructed. Otaku. Azuma Hiroki. Japanese cultural critic Azuma Hiroki, drawing from Freud, reframes the otaku not as pathological, but postmodern. Otaku consume anime, games, and comics, AGC culture. Not for coherent stories, but for moe elements. Traits like cuteness, innocence, or sadness that generate an emotional response. They build personal narratives from fragments, living inside what Azuma describes as a postmodern database, a media world where fiction is preferred to reality, and reality itself is treated as a simulacra. In Perfect Blue, Mima becomes a floating sign in that database. Her pop idol persona, her actress self, and her digital double, none are fully real. They coexist like conflicting entries in a media library. 3. Simulacra. Jean Baudrillard. A simulacrum is a copy without an original. French sociologist and philosopher Jean Baudrillard writes, simulacrum, not unreal, but never again exchanging for what is real, but exchanging in itself an uninterrupted circuit without reference or circumference. Baudrillard continues this argument by outlining the successive phases of images, or death of images, in 4 levels or stages. First, there is a reflection of our fundamental reality, sign. Second, a mask emerges, which distorts the basic reality, a simulation. Thirdly, there is an absence of basic reality, a hyperreal. Finally, there is a simulacrum, which bears no relation to reality whatsoever. Azuma echoes this notion. Quote, the distinction between original productions and their copies weakens. Simulacrum becomes dominant. In Perfect Blue, Mima's image is endlessly duplicated. On screens, in magazines, on message boards, until there is nothing left of the original woman. A copy of a copy of a copy. And in this world, the copy is what kills the real. 4. The postmodern condition, postmodernity, and database consumption. The postmodern emerges when grand narratives begin to break down. French philosopher and sociologist Jean-François Lyotard describes the postmodern. Postmodernism is skeptical regarding reason, sees technology as an instrument as much of destruction as of progress, and rejects the premises of industrial society. Lyotard also characterizes postmodernism as a skepticism towards what he calls meta-narratives. By that, he means stories about the world that strive to sum it all up into one account. Perfect Blue embodies this skepticism. The film resists a single truth. Its plot fractures, characters double, timelines bend. Mima's identity doesn't just unravel, it multiplies. She becomes a media object, a woman with a body but no center. Herself has been outsourced to screens, fans, avatars, and expectations. Postmodernity, the historical moment following modernity, is marked by a rapid technological, artistic, and cultural transformation. As Azuma summarizes, the cultural world since the 1970s. This culture shift overlaps with the rise of otaku culture. Azuma argues otaku prefer database consumption, collecting characters, scenes, and affective elements, especially moe elements, and remixing them into personalized narratives. This mirrors Lyotard's postmodern condition, a world defined not by singular truths, but by fragments, recombinations, and open-ended interpretations. Three characteristics unite database consumption and postmodernity: nonlinear narratives, remixing and recombination, multiple layers of interpretation. Perfect Blue exemplifies all three. Its nonlinear narratives blur past, present, and hallucination. Mima is a remix of moe traits: innocence, vulnerability, ambition, and the film's layered structure invites endless interpretations: psychological, feminist, media critical. Perfect Blue doesn't just portray postmodernity, it performs it. Conclusion. Mima as a projection. In Perfect Blue, the distinction between what's real and what's imagined stops mattering. Mima isn't a stable subject anymore. She's a performance, a profile, a projection consumed in pieces. Agency slips the moment the image outruns the person. So I ask you, is Mima just a character in a psychological thriller, or a case study in the postmodern celebrity machine we've built? The same one that turns pop idols, reality contestants, and influencers into endless scrollable selves. So is this all we ask of the people we watch? Stay visible, stay legible, stay consumable. The unsettling part? Most of us accept the image in place of the human. Most days, that seems to be enough.